Are you curious if you'll be able to come off of your GLP-1 medication? If yes, this video is for you. Hey everybody, it's Allie. I'm on a fantabulous weight loss journey and hopefully you'll subscribe and come along for the ride. So I wanted to talk to you today about something that I'm not seeing a lot of people talking about. And for me personally, I feel like it's really important. And it's important to get the message out there so that people who have this question of, can I take a GLP-1 medication and then come off of it? It's important to me that if you have that question, that you get a full and complete answer. Not a garbage answer, not a flippant answer that doesn't include all of the possibilities. So if you want to know the possibilities, then let's get right into it. Okay, first things first, I'm going to go ahead and address the study in the room. So, everybody likes to quote the study that was done that showed that a certain percentage of people regained weight back after coming off of their GLP-1 medication.
Noom says Ozempic doesn't need to be forever. What do doctors say?
Once you start Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, you are meant to stay on them for the rest of your life.
If you have lost a significant amount of weight on your GLP-1 medication, that is when you likely need the medication the most.
This is not like treating someone with strep with antibiotics. When or if someone discontinues these medications, the likelihood of weight regain is very significant, if not likely.
Likely that the weight is going to come back.
These medications are often used long-term. They are not intended to be a short-term jumpstart thing.
Somebody would need to stay on it long-term to continue to see the benefit.
That they stop and then they slowly regain their weight, even though they're sticking stringently to a diet and exercise program.
Trying to stop a medicine like this can result in weight regain and an increase in appetite. No one should be surprised by that.
And people like to quote that as being the end-all be-all to the information available about maintenance, about potentially coming off of these medications. And there's so much more to it than just that. And I have a video that's going to be coming out this week that talks more in depth about how to look at these studies and the information that they provide so that you can certainly apply it to your own life and your own situation, but with a grain of salt, because studies do not include everything and they certainly don't apply to everyone. Perfect example, if you look at the titration schedule for these medications, they are evolving. And what started out as everybody understood and accepted that you just go up and dose every 4 weeks and you want to get to the highest dose as fast as you can because that's where you lose the most weight the fastest. Now we have come to understand that is that the case for some people? Yes. Does that apply to everyone? No. And it's actually beneficial for you to stay on a dose that is working. But I'm not going to get bogged down in that today. I'm not going to get off on a tangent. I'm not going to do it. So, coming back to, can you get off the medication? If you ask this question in a support group, the answer that you're likely going to receive is going to be a resounding hum of people regurgitating that obesity is a disease, which it is, and that this is the treatment for that disease. Now, in and of itself, there is nothing wrong with that statement, but people have gone for so long, for so many years, being told that being overweight, being obese, having health concerns, and doctors are not listening to you, is due to a lack of control, a lack of willpower, a lack of, you need to just eat less, move more, right? And all along, there was so much that we didn't know about the disease of obesity. Now, does that mean that that is the end all be all, and that everybody who is overweight has the disease of obesity or some other condition, which would mean that they should not come off of these medications long term? No. Just like there are people who have other conditions, for example, insulin resistance, PCOS, Hashimoto's, the list goes on and on and on. And those conditions can keep them from losing weight. There are also people who are overweight who do not have the disease of obesity. There are also people who have the disease of obesity. There are also people who have diabetes. There are also people who have put their diabetes into remission. So you can't just lump everybody into one group, just like we wouldn't all want to be lumped into one group, right? I certainly don't want people who are not diabetic to be lumped into a diabetic group and being held to those same standards for lab work or things like that. That wouldn't be reasonable. And the same can be said of lumping everybody together in one group and saying, oh yeah, if you're overweight, you have the disease of obesity. It's just not the case. And there are instances, be them anecdotal at this point, of people who have successfully come off of these medications with various conditions, and they've had long-term success. And they're continuing to have success. And they're continuing to keep the weight off. So it really bothers me when people post in the support groups and they're looking for help, and instead of getting a full picture, instead what they get is this kind of regurgitated answer. And the problem is that it's not just coming from doctors, it's coming from TikTok, it's coming from people's podcasts and YouTube channels, and we're hearing it over and over and over and over again. Oh, the disease of obesity, you should be on these medications for life, blah, 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 right? I was even in a live session with an obesity specialist and asked them, hey, what is your recommendation for maintenance to then, with the end goal of coming off of the medication? And even that doctor was like, no, you don't come off the medication. Now, granted, in that specific instance, I didn't provide enough information. I was trying to keep the question generalized to see what their recommendation would be. And you will find many obesity specialists who are of that mindset. And you have to keep in mind that that's how medicine works, right? In an attempt to treat the symptoms, right, we prescribe medicine. If there is an opportunity to fix the problem, there's not as much research and information that's put into that approach, and it's more of a holistic approach. Just like there are people who go to their doctors and their doctors say, oh yeah, sure, you want this medication? I'll prescribe it for you, and then give them zero information about what they need to be doing, about their diet, about doing exercise, about making healthy lifestyle changes, about nutrition. They give them the bare bones information, and then people come to the support groups and they're like, hey, I ate Popeyes yesterday and I don't understand why I'm so sick. Well, your doctor should have warned you about that, in my opinion. So I'm not saying that all doctors are wrong or all doctors are right. What I'm saying is there's more information available that's becoming more available to people, and that we need to start talking about a complete picture. Instead of just instinctively, because we want to be validated, spew out this same regurgitated line. We have the disease, the obesity disease, and we need medication for life. Why not have a more in-depth conversation and say, what are your conditions? What are you doing? How does your lab work look? What is your doctor saying? Is your doctor a specialist? Have you tried for a second opinion? Have you looked at XYZ in these maintenance groups? There are some people, I tell them, hey, they're like, hey, I'm looking for somebody who's had success, who's come off the medication and kept the weight off. And I tell them, they're everywhere. But they've all likely, not all of them, but likely left these other groups that are constantly having this influx of new people questions, and they've moved on to either maintenance groups or they've just completely come out of the groups altogether. So you have to go and seek those people out. And I think that there are not enough of them who have a platform to talk about their success and what it is that they're doing, because the more I look at what they're doing, there's this wide variety of people that have had success and what their plan of action is. And a lot of it was trial and error. A lot of it was talking to other people to figure out what worked for them and trying it, and will this work for you or not work for you. One thing that the majority of them had in common is that they did the recommended maintenance. And if you need more information on that, definitely go check out my video about maintenance and what that looks like. I know that there are a lot of people who get taken off of these medications, especially Zepbound and Wegovy, because they reach a lower weight and their insurance pulls the plug on them. So coming off cold turkey, it is a challenge. So I know that there are people who deal with that as well. And there are others who have had to deal with that and have had success keeping the weight off, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, maintaining healthy nutrition that doesn't include a fad diet or excessive starvation level calorie restricting, right? Or serious long-term intermittent fasting, right? People just eating normal, nutritious diets, exercising, and then they're able to keep their weight in check because they've lost enough weight, right? And their body's had a chance to reset. So I think it's interesting, and I think there's not enough people talking about it. So I would encourage you that before you answer to a question like that online in a support group, before you just regurgitate, oh yeah, I plan to stay on this medication forever, maybe link them to this video, maybe offer them another option or a level of hope, because there is hope for a large group of people. We don't have all the specifics on it yet. I know that it'll definitely be something that they research going forward, but you also have to keep in mind that as a pharmaceutical company, that type of research about coming off the medication and being successful does not help their bottom line. So just like Purina can put out research that say that corn is good for you and your dog should eat corn, right? Research is very much based on what they want it to say. And then it is often skewed in that direction. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe. I'd love to have you along for the ride. And tell me in the comments down below, do you intend to try to come off of this medication? Or Are you perfectly happy to just stay on it forever as long as your insurance will cover it? Or are you looking into a maintenance program with an eventual end goal of trying to come off and seeing if that works, and then if it doesn't, going back on? I think that keeping your options open is really important, and I think that we should be encouraging each other to do that. If you're looking for a positive-only support group, I've got you covered. Link is in the description box below. And as always, be kind. Rewind.